This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Clay Cash. The Texas Tech football team headed north to Kansas this weekend in hopes of improving their record and beating Kansas State in Manhattan for the first time in 13 years. But could the Red Raiders pull off victory over the 25-ranked Wildcats? MCTV's Faith Douglas joins us now in the studio with a recap of Saturday's showdown. Faith?
Thanks, Clay. Texas Tech football had high hopes for their meeting with K-State with a newfound confidence after knocking off Texas last weekend. Unfortunately, the losing streak against the Wildcats continued with a 28-37 loss on the road. Kansas State came into Saturday's matchup after defeating Oklahoma in Norman the previous weekend. Although Oklahoma hasn't lived up to their preseason hype, the Cats had all the momentum they needed to overcome Texas Tech's defensive game plan. K-State had 459 yards of total offense, with 343 of those yards coming on the ground. 194 of those came from quarterback Adrian Martinez, who also ran in 3 touchdowns himself. Star running back Deuce Vaughn made up for all but 6 of the remaining yards for the ground game. Vaughn put up 176 yards, which topped off his 123 yards running against Oklahoma the week before. Coming up later in sports, I'll have a full look of highlights and a preview of the next stop on the schedule for the Red Raiders. Back to you, Clay.
Thanks, Faith. Back here in Lubbock, it was a bit quieter on campus without a football game at the Jones. Instead of tailgates, several groups spent time in the area around the sub to invite students to be a part of their group or organization. Tech's Baptist Students Ministry gave out free coffee on Friday in the Sub West Plaza. Members of the BSM took time to visit with students passing by while offering a cup of iced coffee. The BSM regularly spends time in the outdoor area between the sub and the library in hopes of inviting new attendees to their weekly events. The BSM offers several opportunities for students to get involved, including a regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday night.
We're all about loving on the campus and learning how Jesus loves us in whatever way that may be. Our main thing is our Wednesday nights. It's about 8 p.m. We get together, we learn about the Bible, learn how to really do life together.
Along with the weekly Uncharted meeting, the BSM also offers several additional ministries, including special services for international students. For more information on Tech's Baptist Student Ministries, visit techbsm.com or follow them by search TechBSM on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. After grabbing coffee, students looking for a place to sit down and rest for a while now have access to a newly opened but familiar option just steps away from the sub. During the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Texas Tech created a new outdoor area just north of the library's main entrance. Red Raider Plaza was opened in the spring of 2021, giving students a safe alternative to the areas inside the sub and the library. Late this summer, a renovation of the area took place to bring back the outdoor space. Turf was installed in place of grass, and new concrete curbing and sidewalks were installed for a better flow through the area. New outdoor furniture was also purchased, and the lighting was enhanced for use after dark. The most noticeable change, though, in the new Red Raider Plaza is the lack of outdoor games. However, the space is available for students to gather at any time, and it can also be reserved for events. Speaking of events, the Student Activities Board will be hosting a relaxation event tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Red Raider Plaza. Tomorrow's activities will include an oxygen bar, a visit from some shelter dogs, and free ice cream floats. For more details on the Relaxation Day event, along with more info on other future fun options, visit sab.ttu.edu. The first days of October may not have felt like fall, but it was another beautiful weekend here on the South Plains. But can we expect more fall-like weather in the days to come? Let's take a look at the MCTV forecast. There's been a few high clouds visible on the MCTV tower cam today, but other than that, skies have been clear. Temperatures started off in the low 50s this morning, and with the sun coming up later, that made for a cooler commute to campus than the last few weeks. Highs should reach just above 80 degrees this afternoon, leading to a mild evening. Tonight we'll see a return of a few clouds, but it'll mostly still be clear. Temperatures will again drop into the low 50s, so you may need a jacket if you're heading to a chilly 8 a.m. class. Tomorrow is shaping up to be just about the same as today, but the clouds will stick around the area. Highs are expected to reach 80, but we'll see a 70-degree temperature most of the day. The clouds will continue to increase heading into midweek, with mostly cloudy conditions expected for Wednesday. The clouds will move in along with a slight cold front that will keep highs under 80 degrees for the first time since the beginning of the semester. That cold front is also bringing an increase in the chance of rain through the end of the week. We could possibly see some isolated showers each evening through Friday. Looking ahead, the sub-80-degree temperatures are staying in the forecast into the weekend, with more clouds and an increasing chance for thunderstorms heading into next week. As we mentioned earlier, the Texas Tech football team had a tough time Saturday against another ranked team on the road, but they weren't the only ones. Facing a ranked opponent this weekend, MCTV's Faith Douglas joins us again in the studio with a look at those games and more in sports. Faith?
Thanks, Clay. We have a lot to cover, so let's get right to it. This weekend was a couple of tough losses for Red Raiders on the volleyball court and on the football field. But in typical Red Raider fashion, they didn't go down without a fight. Starting with football, the Red Raiders took on the K-State Wildcats in Lawrence, Kansas, and did not bring home the dub. Quarterback Adrian Martinez rushed for 170 yards on Saturday, and Tech's defense just could not shut this mobile quarterback down. Martinez ran in 3 touchdowns himself, and in his longest breakaway, he ran up the middle of the field untouched for 67 yards. Though the defense struggled to stop the run, linebacker Tyree Wilson had a solid performance with 6 total tackles, 4 solo, and 2 sacks, and on top of all that, he forced a fumble. Tech's offense started slow, but right before half, they got down the field and were able to cut the lead to just a 3-point deficit. Kicker Trey Wolf kicked a 51-yard field goal as well as a 39-yard field goal midway through the third quarter to tie up the game at 20. Though things looked good for Tech fans, as quarterback Donovan Smith managed to lead a 7-play drive for 75 yards down the field, the field goal attempt was no good by Trey Wolf, denying Tech of their first potential lead of this game. K-State responded and took off offensively in the rest of the game, scoring 17 points in the fourth quarter. Smith ran in 1 more touchdown late in the fourth, but it was too little too late as the Red Raiders lost 28-37. This upcoming Saturday, the Red Raiders will take on OSU in Stillwater at 2:30. The Cowboys are coming off a win last weekend, remaining undefeated and ranked 3rd in the Big 12. We'll catch up with you Thursday for more details on that game. Moving from the turf to the hardwood floor, volleyball's Kenneth Sauer dominated against the Lady Longhorns yesterday afternoon. Though Red Raider efforts did not combat #1 ranked Longhorns as UT swept 3-0 at the USA. Sauer led the team with her 9th double-double with 12 kills and 13 digs. Let's get into how the Longhorns still managed to take the victory. In each set, Tech didn't go down without a fight, losing by 8 points, 6 points, and then 2 points in the third. In the first set, despite Sauer's efforts, the Longhorns made an 11-point run. The second set could be summed up with a back-and-forth run with efforts from senior Reagan Cooper, who also had 10 kills along with 4 digs and a block. In the third set, the Lady Raiders hung with them quite a bit longer and even went into an 8-point run themselves. The team battled it out for a tie at 24, and then unfortunately, the Longhorns took the sweep with back-to-back kills from UT's Madison Skinner. Head coach Tony Greystone, however, was still happy with Sunday's performance despite the outcome, saying after the game he was pleased with the attendance of over 6,000 fans, a record for the volleyball program. The Lady Raiders will head to Fort Worth to take on the TCU Horned Frogs this weekend for another Big 12 matchup. In other Red Raider athletics news, Texas Tech announced last Wednesday that the softball team joins the football team program with a 5-figure name, image, and likeness deal from the Matador Club. The club, made up of donors and fans alike, have already jumped on board with this NCAA's year-old NIL rules, donating to the football team $25,000 per player, and now the softball players will join them, receiving $10,000 apiece. Lastly, for sports today, former Texas Tech Red Raider quarterback Patrick Mahomes faced Tom Brady last night in primetime for their first matchup since Super Bowl 55, when the Chiefs fell to the Bucs. Mahomes got his revenge for that Super Bowl, throwing last night for 249 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had quite a jaw-dropping play, dodging multiple defenders as he scrambles around the field and he finds his receiver in the end zone. It was quite a play. If you were watching last night, you didn't miss it. Love to see those former Red Raiders make us proud in the NFL. That's it for sports. Back to you, Clay.
So, Faith, with Red Raider football's trouble on the road this season, what do you think of their chances against the Cowboys this weekend in Stillwater?
You never know with Texas Tech football. We beat UT, and no one saw that one coming, so who knows what's going to happen this Saturday.
Absolutely. Thanks, Faith. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you on Thursday.